Hello everybody, this is Alexander Williamson with the secret history living inside of your aquarium. Today we're going to be looking at my 38.5 gallon custom bow front. It's a little taller than most bow fronts, and it is deemed the tank that should not be stocked the way it is. So there are pea puffers, danios, tetras, Kribs, and all three of those have bred in here, or four of those, plus live bears at the top, and I've just thrown in some bloodworms as well as some Mises shrimp and things like that. So in this video series, I want to invite you guys to turn the sound off, pick your favorite music, and sit back and just enjoy while I show you fish being fish. If you want to stay around and listen to what I have to say, I'll just go over the species and the various creatures and plants that we're seeing or behavior we're seeing. So pick out that favorite song, and I'll try to upload this in the highest quality I can. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you'd like. Okay, so what we've got going on here is we've got a male crib down at the bottom. The male crib always has kind of a spade-shaped tail, and yesterday he actually had a pink belly to match hers, showing that they were ready to spawn. And she has this big swollen pink belly, and it may mean that she has just come out of laying eggs, and that's a good guess. But now let's move to the puffers, as I just saw the bloodworms all come tumbling down, and this little puffer is eating away at the bloodworms. These puffers usually actually kind of stalk their prey, and they hunt down here where I give them ram's horn snails, and you'll see that what they do is they actually bash and chip away little sections back in here of the ram's horn snails, and then they just kind of pull them out with suction. Now right here we have a swordtail, and it's a swordtail bred with a platty cross. That's a female, and the male has the long sword. And this species, or variant I should say, has stripes of blue, like bars. And this is a male that still has his gonopodium, and you can see he's afraid of these puffers. He knows his position, and this is a male puffer. You can tell because he's got lines under his eyes, and his spots actually have some green or blue iridescence to them, whereas a female puffer generally has more of a beige coloring to her, and real brown spots. So I've noticed with the feeding that they come out, and they definitely, the males get first dibs. I don't know if that's just out of aggression or evolution or what, but here you can see kind of the whole tank, and we've got the Tetras up top, and a big stone wall for the plecos and shrimp and other critters in the tank. And then we've got kind of a twisted, winding labyrinth of very well aged and inoculated with both fungi and algae wood series here, and then also a forest of just twisted plants. Now it's worth pointing out that this entire tank is low tech. See, there's a male there. You can see that blue iridescence in his top spot. Here are some fire danios, also known, before I mention that, I wanted to show you guys this again. So these are the swordtails. They're live bear. They give live birth. And this male is actually missing his private areas, his gonopodium, which is a long, like ribbon-like structure in this variant of the fish. Now there is one in here who has his gonopodium, and see, he's chasing after the female regardless, but when he comes back into the picture, I'll show you the gonopodium has been bred to be so long and decorative that it's actually ceased to be useful and he cannot reproduce. So it's kind of a bizarre twist of breeding in the pet world. But this guy has had his gonopodium removed, so ironically cutting off his male part that is prominent has allowed him to reproduce because it's a more manageable size. So now you're seeing a lot of these little endlers coming in, and there's all different sorts from my other tanks in here. You can see this guy is actually trying to show off for the females. When their dorsal fin is up, you know that a endler is trying to show off. They kind of do this backwards flutter dance, but he is showing off for that female right down below him. And here comes a Siamese algae eater. And they all kind of live in the cracks here. And as I was saying earlier, here is the Pleco, one of several Plecos. This is supposedly a green dragon. I mean, it is a green dragon. It's from Greg Sage's line. And I've been selecting them to have this cream banding, and this one actually has the least amount of it, and that's why he's up here. I'm guessing it's a he, but I'm not sure yet. It's still too young, but still fun to look at. There's a much larger Pleco that lives in here with him, 5 or 6 inches long. Now you can see the two male swordtails chasing each other. Well, one is just being chased, and here we'll show you if they ever settle down. His gonopodium, you see that, is sticking out. It is this long spot underneath his body, whereas this guy does not have that anymore. It has been trimmed, and that is how these females are getting pregnant. So the bloodworms, which I was hoping would feed the fish and they could all come down into view, have been kind of stuck in this plant right here. But that hasn't stopped the playful little pufferfish from grabbing them one by one and eating them. Now this puffer just puffed up for a second. The kind of beige one fighting. Oh, and now he gave it up. He somehow stole that bloodworm just by giving a look. So it's funny to see who's going to win in a puffer fight. And a lot of times they'll eat the whole thing and then they'll spit it out. You can see he's elongating his body, or her body actually, to make it fit some more food, because the puffed out look is not really usable space. It's more of a bladder for them. So you can see also we've got orange endlers that keep swimming back and forth, and then to complement them I put in some ember tetras, and they're a really beautiful fish. They're good for any aquascape really, and they're definitely a nano fish. And some stay small, some get to this size. If they have more space and a lot of food, they seem to get a darker orange color, almost a blood orange color. And here we have a Silverado breed of Endler, so-called for its silver body and its wild tail markings, similar to a black bar Endler on its tail markings, which is more like these Endlers up here, which if you're a live bearer fan, you'll know that Endlers came out of one main location in a lagoon in Venezuela in the 70s, and since all these color variations have been created, just like with the guppies, and some of them have been crossed with guppies as well. But these in this tank have not been crossed with guppies. They are all true Endler species, as far as we can tell, as far as the lines go back. Yeah, so as I come back here a little bit, the big red plant that's got a long stem that's kind of in the center here, I'll center it, that's a prinz sword, and you can see its base in here where the bloodworms are stuck. And this is what we call a runner, or a baby, a child, a chicklet, hen and chick type setup. And this can be cut off and is its own viable plant, but I have let it grow out, and I am hoping that perhaps it flowers. Now, none of the moss nor algae on this stick has been placed here intentionally by any means. It's all just been in the tank for years, and it's a hardwood that's become more flexible now. But you can see there's at least 5 kinds of algae growing very healthily, with good health on it. And down in here we have a tangle of some moss and some algae, and that's a good snack for some of the creatures that live in here, such as the Pleco and the autosynclus and the Siamese algae eater. Now back in here we have a thing that I like to call the canyon, and we have a barb, but just circled the corner and you can't see it anymore. But we had a cherry barb in here, and right now you're getting a nice view of the female crib, and she is a bapindi crib, whereas the male is actually a poultry crib, which many people will tell you not to mix cribs, and you should not if you're going to let that genetic pool return to anyone else who does not know that and who will keep them separate. I will oftentimes mix different species with the knowledge that I will be keeping them for their entire life. Now, here is one of the babies that survived in this crazy, chaotic tank of those cribs. That little striped guy hasn't earned his colors yet, but beautiful nonetheless. And here comes the Tetras into the fray, hoping to get some of those bloodworms. We have a reed Tetra and a kitty Tetra. They're both kind of little innocuous silver Tetras. And then we also have some baby Endlers that are daring to, some of them are very young, daring to take a look at what's going on food-wise. Now down here, this is kind of my special little garden that we keep open, and frequently you will see the tiniest fish in the tank making their way around the edges of this opening. And the parents, the Kribs, have apparently neglected their young, or something has fallen upon them negatively. And all through the week, the Kribs had been actually bringing their young through the grasses and things, through the algae down here, and allowing them to eat little teeny cephalopods or not cephalopods, sorry guys, teeny crustaceans and creatures like that, which has been a big reason why I don't get rid of that algae, because they're just a very, it's a very natural equilibrium where this tank has been at. It hasn't taken over by any means, and this tank is very, very intensely stocked with fish, yet we have kind of an equilibrium that we've reached, and you can only add 1 or 2 fish at a time to this tank and not expect to see some serious changes. So now we have a snow white hygrophila, but it's not a polysperma. It is a different, hard to find, not in the market, rarer hygrophila that's legal to own, not to buy and sell, that has this very cool variegated shape. Now this male does have some white areas on his fins, on his dorsal fin. Wow, he disappears quickly. And I'm curious as to what has caused that. It looks like it could be a fungi, possibly, and I'll need to take another look at that later. So the plants, I'll go over real quickly. There's bacopa back in here. This is red bacopa. Then we have other bacopas back over here that are saffron red, but remember, this is all low tech. We have wisteria and water sprite. Kabamba, this is red kabamba, or purple kabamba, if you will. And then we have Pogostemon erectus, the prinz sword, Prinz, and then we have some cardinal plant. We have some rotala hira, and some rotala pink butterfly that's trying to grow here. And also we have green gecko Windetti Kribs, and we have undulata crypts, and that's a cryptocorn plant, by the way. And there's some more bacopa underneath the stick, as well as java moss and willow moss growing randomly places. Anubias that is low in phosphates. That's common. The yellowing that you see is common when plants are low in phosphates. And everything in here is probably low in iron currently, including the ludwigia you can see in the center, and some of the other interesting plants like the pink flamingo cryptocorn over here. And I know that's kind of hard to see because of the algae, but in a low light, no CO2 section of the tank, I mean, there's no CO2 anywhere in this tank, but that's what you will get out of those plants. You will not see the colors. Now, lastly, here's a silver-tip tetra. I think that's the last fish that you'll see that I'll mention, because the cory, I have some Aeneas cories that are in here, but they don't like to come out at all. They stay under the rock mountain, which is pretty much hollow, full of hiding spaces for nesting. And it appears that the baby Kribs are not coming out today either. So, oh, and also that's a red corkscrew valsenaria grass that's growing all the way to the top of the tank here. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you like these silent kind of displays of just watching the fish eat and the tank going about its business, let me know in the comments, and we can do that. I can actually put music to this, or I can stop talking and just let it be silent if you'd really like, but I figure you guys can press mute and you can hear about some of the details if you like, and if you don't, just put your favorite song on and relax, be calm, and enjoy. So, like if you like it, comment if you got ideas. Oh, there's 3 neon green Tetras back there that have made an appearance now as well. And please share if this calms you down, if you think this is relaxing, or you want to show somebody what a low-tech tank can be like. All I have is 2 30-watt floodlights intended for a house on this tank. No fertilizers other than the overload of fish, and that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it relaxed you a little bit, made you smile, and maybe inspired you for your low-tech plants and aquascape, even though this is a bit gone a bit feral or wild. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of your creatures, the people around you, and mostly yourself. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.